Republicans are slowly inching closer to passing President Trump's legislative agenda before his self-imposed July 4th deadline. Lawmakers are still holding a marathon vote after pulling an all-nighter, voting on a wave of amendments, most of which won't make it to the final version of the massive spending bill. Juliegrace Brufke is a Capitol Hill reporter for 24/7 News, joining us now. Juliegrace, thanks for being here with us. Now, what's the latest in this vote-a-rama? Were any amendments passed overnight?
Well, it has certainly been a marathon of an evening and early morning. So J.D. Vance is on his way, should be at the Capitol any moment to potentially be the tiebreaker on this big vote, which faces an uphill battle in the House. But there were a bunch of interesting amendments that ended up ultimately failing last evening, and there should be a couple more amendment votes. Rick Scott's FMAP, which would reduce some of the Medicaid spending, is a big one to watch in the moments ahead, which conservatives have been pushing for. So still some things to come and a lot of uncertainty on whether this is ultimately going to pass.
And the Senate budget bill now includes a new tax on wind and solar projects. What can you tell us about that?
It does. There is a new excise tax tucked in there, which did catch some senators by surprise that language ultimately made it in there. And Senator Lee's amendment, which would have returned things closer to the House amendment, kind of failed miserably there. So we'll see how the House handles that if they ultimately get this over the finish line. But it's right now something that some Republicans have some concerns about.
And Juliegrace, jumping off of that, if this bill passes in the Senate, it goes back to the House. Do we know if House lawmakers are on board with all the changes that senators made to the bill?
Now, I've talked to a number of conservatives and moderates that have major concerns about this bill, some of which who have talked about wanting to kind of band together to try and force this to go to conference. So the odds of this thing getting done by July 4th, I mean, never say never, but it's looking like that's going to be an uphill climb for GOP leadership.
All right, Juliegrace Brufke, thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Well, many Democrats have voiced concerns the bill will hurt the middle class. On the takeout yesterday, Michigan Democratic Senator Elissa Slotkin criticized the bill's steep cuts to Medicaid.
So you're going to have every American either at risk of losing their health care or having to pay more for their health care. And I don't know a single American who feels like they're paying too little for their health insurance. So this whole idea that this is for the working person, that this is a monumental bill for middle America is complete BS. And it will make people pay more in every corner of their life.
And Senator Slotkin says the legislation will also devastate solar and wind energy, raising electric bills. For more on this, CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand is at the White House. Natalie, good morning. So we've seen a huge push from the Trump administration to get this bill over the finish line. What kind of pressure is the White House putting on Republican lawmakers?
Well, this deadline for ones which you were talking about, Michael, July 4th, an artificial deadline, but one that the president believes is keeping pressure on Republicans. And the White House expressing confidence that they can still potentially meet that deadline. But at the same time, the White House press secretary saying that the president is well aware that this bill not only needs to pass the Senate, but then, as you were talking about, go back to the House since changes were made to the bill. We know the president has been working the phones, trying to keep the GOP conference united. Take a listen to what Caroline Levit had to say.
The White House and the president are adamant that this bill is passed and that this bill makes its way to his desk. Republicans need to stay tough and unified during the home stretch, and we are counting on them to get the job done.
So definitely a critical couple of days ahead, and everyone eagerly watching to see what happens with this Senate vote, and then ultimately what happens when this goes back to the lower chamber, Michael.
And Natalie, I want to ask about Elon Musk. He's back on social media attacking President Trump's budget bill, and now the president is firing back. What's the latest here?
Yeah, we had several weeks of calm when we weren't talking about this war of words between President Trump and Elon Musk, a former friend and close advisor. But now this seems to be very much back on. Musk, in a series of social media posts, even went as far to to threaten essentially to fund primary challengers to Republicans who vote for the bill, saying every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then voted for what he calls the biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame, and they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. So a big threat from Musk there as we head into the midterms next year, and Trump not holding back, saying that Musk gets more subsidies, he says, than any human being in history, referencing electric vehicles and satellites and space exploration, which receives federal dollars. He said if he didn't receive those subsidies, Musk would have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. So these are such strong words from the president, even suggesting that DOJ should take a look at this. Musk, for his part, says that his opposition to the legislation doesn't have to do with cuts to EV tax credits, but he says in another post, cut it all now, Michael.
All right, Natalie Brand at the White House, thanks for joining us.